Let's all pretend it's a Friday night and each one of us has decided to go for a movie, a new movie. Well, the guys want a rom-com while all the girls are looking for a thriller and some action. Well, there's this one person who wants a bit of drama, and we kind of are stuck. Doesn't this sound like every plan you make with your group of friends? Well, I have a solution for you. Let's go for a superhero movie. Because superhero movies today have a bit of everything. They have a bit of thriller in terms of the storyline and visual effects they carry. They have always a romantic plot involved. And well, a new element. They're dark and intense. Something that did not happen at all in the 80s and 90s or the years before that. The movies before that turned out to be literal comic book adaptations and did not involve so much of intensity, but more of action and nonsensical humor. You can see with examples like Batman 1966, Superman 2 in 1981, and Batman and Robin in 1997. However, this trend changed in 2000 with the introduction of X-Men, a movie with a serious plot and for the first time introduced flawed heroes. This movie changed a huge trend because from 1985 to 1999, according to IMDb, not a single movie was in the top 10 charts, except one. But from 2000 to 2017, at least one superhero movie has made it to the top 10 grossing list of IMDb every single year. Why did that happen? Let me introduce that by comparing two Batman movies from these two generations. One, 1997 Batman and Robin, and 2008 Dark Knight. To summarize Batman and Robin for you, it involved heavy VFX. 2, it had a huge budget. And 3, it had a massive star cast, including Arnold Schwarzenegger and George Clooney. On the other hand, the Dark Knight movie did not have great VFX. It did not need too much VFX. Secondly, the cast that was selected was average with only 1 or 2 famous characters. And third, the budget was the same as Batman and Robin, even though it was released years later than that. However, a main statistical difference between the two movies was Batman and Robin tanked at the box office and made a loss of a few $1 million. The Dark Knight, however, it made 3 times its budget in profits. One of the main reasons why that happened, if you look at the main IMDb reviews, for Batman and Robin, most reviews say that the movie had nothing but action sequences, and action sequences. And for The Dark Knight, most of the reviews kind of went like this. Damn, that was intense. And this was the main difference that we saw in these movies, because The Dark Knight introduced a dark, intense storyline, a background score, a slightly tone of horror. It killed the lady love, and eventually it showed the hero turning out to be the foe for the city. And such an intense movie went ahead to win 2 Oscars, 151 other awards, and 154 other nominations all over the world. That's big. Next, if you look at some other movies, you come to the Avengers series. It introduced a new concept of digging deep into the characters' backstories when they showed us Black Widow's horrific past, they showed us Thor having recurring nightmares, they showed Iron Man having anxiety issues, they had Hulk fearing himself. Sounds like I'm talking about my own classmates with some just funky names, right? But well, these are superheroes, and this was a new concept introduced by the Avengers. So when I asked my good friend, the Joker, when I was introducing this concept to him and this transition and showing how all this has become intense, he had a very interesting question for me.
Why so serious?
Thanks, Joker, that was a good question. But then, why so serious? I wondered too. And I wanted to research that myself. And then I found out it is because we millennials like things serious and dark, aka real. This realism was introduced because we were bombarded with information and problems right from childhood itself, being exposed to all the information in the world. This led to a problem known as mental depression. Mental depression, according to the Psychologist Journal on November 14, 2016, said that from 2005 to 2014, MD has increased by 35% in teenagers. And a major result of that is pessimistic thinking, also known as dominant speaking, by H.E. Morano, a psychologist, who in her study mentioned that depression speaking results in a lingering attachment to and attractiveness for dark and pessimistic ideas, which in turn leads to likes and dislikes, shapes our likes and dislikes, which at the end causes an attraction from our sides towards darker themes in movies. Now, this also means that for a child in today's generation who can still dream of being a superhero, because a superhero would be as fallible as he or she is, a trait we have learned to embrace. And you can see this major difference between two movies again, because in 1985, with the movie Toxic Avenger, he was a gory, ugly, and raunchy hero, and people hated him at that time. But when you introduced all the same characteristics in 2016 in the movie Deadpool, he immediately became a crowd favorite. This contrast shows how the audience has changed in all these years from 1985 to 2016, and how we have learned to embrace and are attracted to such ideas in movies to see our heroes turn this way. But another important change that we have seen is in this guy, Logan Wolverine. When X-Men started in 2000 until Logan in 2016, there was a major change in character in this person, and we have seen him grow up. And for the children of the 90s who grew up watching his movies, the kid in them still wanted to see his hero in battle, but the adult in them wanted some real cinema, which resulted in directors turning the plot into a serious, dark one, and even certain movies like Logan was restricted to adults only. This meant that, as I come to my conclusion, that movies had to adapt because of the audience's reaction, which resulted from comic to seriousness. And with Logan, towards the end, spoiler alert, but Dr. X, Professor X, and Logan died. And this death was signified by a thought that it's okay for things to end. And that's as serious as it gets. Which makes me wonder that for superhero movies, what's next? Thank you.